Ryan, I want to get you on because you have an awesome little story. You're a seminarian with Chris Villarreal, who is another guest on the podcast, but you're a little bit farther along in that process.
You could say that.
Yeah. So I think starting off, which is like Chris told about his story about like entering the seminary,
Mm-hmm.
and I would love to get your story.
Yeah.
So where did it start?
Gosh, it started when I was just a wee little lad, going to church with mom and dad. So we went to St. Francis de Sales over in Portage Lakes most of my life. And so I'd be the little kid in the back of the church, just screaming, like standing on the top of the kneeler, just shouting out whatever hymn was being sung. And the old ladies of the church would just be like, "Oh, he's so cute and precious." So I don't have any memory of that at all, but I was always told that was something I did. Great. But growing up, just going to church, going to a Catholic school growing up, it was always ingrained in me with just the faith and learning about the faith. And it started to really happen when I was in 7th grade. So the seminary offers what's called it's like a get out of class for a day, come up, see the seminary, have pizza. For me, like I've never saw a seminarian before, so it's like equivalent to seeing like a unicorn.
Yeah.
It's like, do they even exist? I don't know. And so I thought, okay, I get out of class for a day, I get free pizza. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
So I get to go up to the seminary, get to actually tour the seminary, meet the seminarians, and get that pizza. But it's opened me up to this possibility of, this is something I could do with my life. Now being in 7th grade, that didn't really sink in a whole lot. Go forward just to 8th grade, and now I have classmates saying, "Ryan, if any of us would be a priest, it'd be you." Now that went right over my head. Didn't pay any attention to it, but like when I reflected back on it, when I was about to enter seminary, it's like, oh my gosh, like it started way back then, even though I wasn't aware of it. So that happened in 7th and 8th grade. Fast forward, high school, not really paying a whole lot of attention to my faith. And during this time, the vocation office is sending me materials like, "Hey, come check out the seminary. Hey, you came to see the seminary when you were in 7th, 8th grade. Give it a thought." I immediately took that information and threw it away. What teenage boy wouldn't, So, after that, I went on and I studied at Walsh University, which we are close by now.
Yeah.
Studied biology with the intent of pre-med and hoping to become a doctor. And, I was studying there. Grades were amazing. Working at pharmacy, so I had the best job experience for this field. And anyway, I saw it a lot like, huh?
I don't know.
But I decided to transfer between my freshman and sophomore year to Akron, just because I started hanging out with buddies during the summer and not making the best decisions because I wasn't really a whole lot into my faith at that point. And there came a point after I transferred during the summer that this friend group actually just said, "No, we don't want you part of this group anymore." Devastated, just like, well, this is a stupid decision because I literally transferred just to hang out with you guys. It's like, what are you thinking, Ryan? And then the most miraculous thing happens, I would say. Like, life got more and more difficult, but that opened me up to my faith again. So I was at the University of Akron studying biology again, taking classes, commuting from there back to my parents' house. And during this time, I had a few things happen, just like coworkers questioning me constantly, what do you want to do with your life? They saw I was miserable, but I didn't want to admit that. And so they kept asking me over and over again, what do you want to do with your life? On top of that, the house that I lived in all my life, my parents decided one day, we're selling the house and we're moving in with grandma. Okay, great, wonderful. So we move in And so I'm living there with mom and dad, brother and sister, and grandma. And comes to Christmas break, and the hinge point happens where I somehow hang out with these same friends again for one day. Next day, I'm at the Y, just getting a lift in. Text the same guys, like, okay, we can hang out again? They're like, no, that's it. I'm like, what? This makes no sense whatsoever. But it was enough to make me think again, just like, what do I really want to do with my life? So I get back to my grandmother's house, and I find myself crying my eyes out. And at this point, I'm not the kind of guy who shows emotion. I'm like, why are you crying your eyes out right now? This makes no sense. And it got me to the point where I just thought, this is not what I want to do with my life. So what should I do? And so I thought back on what I could do. And in that moment, all these memories popped up of going to the seminary to visit, my classmates affirming this quality they saw in me. I just questioned out loud, is it seminary? And immediately, the tears stopped, the grief was gone, and I was totally in peace. I was dumbfounded by this. It's like, this makes no sense whatsoever. Here I'm also just not practicing my faith either. And I'm not going to Sunday Mass. I'm not praying. This makes no sense. And so in that moment, I'm like, all right, this is something new. So we got to test this out. So for the next week, I asked myself the same question, answering it the same way. Seminary? And the same peace returned day after day. And at the end of the week, I was starting to feel actually like happy, this joy that was welling up in me. It's like, this is something I'm not used to. I've never experienced this before. This has to be it. And so, naturally, I do nothing for the next 2 weeks.
Right, as you do.
Yeah. Cold feet.
Yeah.
And then I reach out to my pastor, give him a call, and say, hey, it's been a while. We need to talk. And I go and I meet with him and I tell him everything that's happened. And he says, yeah, this kind of makes sense. When you were younger in junior high, I thought you had a call to priesthood, but I didn't want to say anything because I wanted you to come to me. Like, gee, thanks.
Yeah.
Like, this would have saved me a lot of time, you know? But after, we met again, and he gave me the phone number for the vocation director. And then I did nothing again for 2 weeks.
As you do.
As you do. Then I finally give him a call, and we meet in February. Just like, yeah, this checks out. This makes sense. He's not the one to usually hand out, application the first meeting. So we meet again. He gives me the application, and I fill it out. I go through the whole steps, all the process, turn my life around also because, it's total 180. And I was accepted into the seminary on Holy Saturday. So I was literally working at this pharmacy and just on lunch break, and I pick up my phone. I see like one voice message. Listen to it, and it's the president rector of the seminary saying, hey, I didn't want to wait till Monday, so I wanted to call you and let you know you've been accepted on Holy Saturday. Like, this is amazing. It's like, while everyone else is like, just, doing their own thing, I'm like, what?